Hi, my name is Ann. I'm a Monster Hunter speedrunner currently focused on the Sword and Shield and Wilds, and today we'll be recording an advanced guide teaching the combo theory behind this weapon. So, the reason I'm making this guide is because I get asked all the time, hey Ann, what is the best combo to use in Sword and Shield? And the answer is, well, golly, that's a little complicated. And the reason it's a little complicated is because Sword and Shield has a pretty wide array of combo tools, all with different pros and cons. They all freely flow between each other, and they all pretty much get used even by high level players in the context of like a TA Wiki speedrun. You're going to see those players actually use quite a bit of these combo tools. So by understanding those pros and cons, how they fit together, and the overall theory of how combo flows on this weapon, you'll understand how to get in and out of all of your stronger combo options so you know what your general goals are in the hunt and how you're going to be able to actually maximize your damage when you find those openings. So yeah. Before we get into gameplay, a couple of quick disclaimers. Number one, I am a teacher. I went to school for teaching, so like I teach like a teacher, go figure. Everything is just going to be done on one take. It's going to be kind of a lecture. That's just how I know how to do things. I'm sorry it's not a higher produced video. Hopefully you stick with me. Second off, how do I actually know any of these things I'm talking about? Well, you can go into the game files and pull out things like motion value. You can pull out things like elemental value, sharpness on hits, stuff like that, and then go and do a bunch of math and figure out how much damage you're dealing every hit, how much sharpness you're consuming, things like that. Somebody's done that for us. The name is BK. Shout out to them. This is a pretty good publicly available spreadsheet showing their math. Most of their math is pretty good. I agree with most of it. I can validate a lot of it by opening up an overlay mod to actually see the damage I'm dealing with the training dummy, just to verify things. There's that. I also do my own speed runs. You can go see them on my channel. You can see the times I'm getting. You can see if, judge for yourself whether or not I'm pretty good at the weapon. I'm fine, I think. And with all the practical experience I built up by doing those runs and then cross-referencing with the math, I kind of understand what my goals are when using the weapon, and hopefully those are the overall goals that you're going to want to use when you play it as well. So, yeah, with that all the way, we're about to get into the gameplay, and we're going to start with notes. So these are the notes I'm using to reference everything. You can take a look at these and follow along, do whatever you want. That's fine. But this is how I learn. This is how I teach, and yeah. So let's start with the lateral combo that's listed at the top here. So what is the lateral combo? The lateral combo is attached to the circle button, B button if you're on Xbox, and it's pretty simple. You get 3 hits out of it, lateral, return, spinning, rising slash. These hits are pretty good damage, it's a pretty good combo, and you can in fact replace that spinning rising slash with a round slash if you want to keep doing this combo over and over again. And this forms what we call the round slash loop. So lateral, turn stroke, round slash. Ta-da. So this is our lateral loop. I think I called it a round slash loop. It's the lateral loop. And trying to fit as many of these lateral hits into a combo as you can is actually a really high damage thing we can do. So let's go look at our notes. And we can see that. The lateral combo plus round slash loop is the highest DPS basic combo we have available to us. And it's really easy to fit into a lot of openings. So hey, the highest damage combo is easy to use, best combo video over, right? Well, there's a couple of negatives to this combo. First, it is a little bit more static and committed than some of our other options we can be using, and also its sharpness efficiency is kind of booty. It's not very good for sharpness management, and this weapon does need to keep that into consideration. Let's take a look at that. So this is the loop. Oh, whoops. And some missed inputs here, but that's okay. This is our loop. You can see the sharpness is draining on this. It's draining a little bit slowly because I have like Master's Touch and a bunch of other sharpness skills attached. But I assure you, we have other options that are more efficient on sharpness for around the same damage. So in some circumstances, we'd rather use those. And the other thing about the staticness of this combo is that while you can do some movement and repositioning with Round Slash, you are relatively still. You're kind of stuck in the same spot. Round Slash is a bigger commitment. So we have options that are much more mobile and allow us to maintain much better uptime. So let's go to step 2. We have our damage combo, but what about gaining uptime? And that's where chop comes in. So chop is attached to the triangle button or the Y button if you're on Xbox. And it's just this little 4-hit combo that looks like this. Really simple, really straightforward combo. And I'm going to go ahead and get the negatives out of the way. This is worse sharpness efficiency and worse damage than doing the lateral combo I just talked about. And you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, so this is just worse. We want to avoid using this. And you'd be wrong because it has a few really huge upsides that are essential to the way that this weapon plays. First, it's fast, it has good reach. You can hit parts of the monster that the lateral combo sometimes whiff on. It is a slightly lower commitment than committing to something like Round Slash to keep that loop going. But most importantly, it is extremely, extremely mobile. And something about Sword and Shield is that it doesn't have hits that deal like, well, moves that deal like huge hits of damage all by themselves, right? So you want to maintain a concept called uptime. The more you're hitting the monster, the better. Even if you're hitting the monster with a slightly worse move, you're still hitting the monster compared to not hitting the monster. And when you look at the mobility attached to this chop, boy, does it let you keep hitting the monster. Look how far you can go with these suckers. If you're holding a direction while comboing into a chop, you will continue to travel in that direction. And you can even change which direction you're going in between each chop. And this allows you to do a lot of really silly shit. So if I'm sitting here wanting to get from this side of the monster to the other, whee, I'm all the way over here. It's great. If the monster is doing an attack that's small and it's easy to dodge, I can just use chop to get out the way and keep maintaining that uptime. So chop gives you really, really strong uptime for a lower commitment and allows you to move around the monster. It lets you keep doing the dance where you're dodging attacks or keeping up with it. And the entire time that you're sitting here using chops to do that, you're dealing damage. So chop is pretty awesome, but you do need to keep in mind that the damage on it is really not great. So if you over rely on chop, it can come back to bite you. And that's when we go to the next step. If we have a combo that is really good for damage and a combo that's really good for mobility, can we put those combos together? And the answer is yes. The chop plus lateral combo is in the game. So you can cancel any of your chops directly into doing laterals and vice versa. And the most common way you see this is by doing a couple chops and then getting some laterals in for damage and then using your chops for mobility and keeping up with the monster. And a combo like this gives you the best of both worlds, where you're using your chop mobility, but you're also maintaining some damage via the lateral hits going into the combo as well. This combo is really great. And what makes this combo really great is that you can adjust your combos to go into whatever you need to at a moment's notice. So as an example, let's say I'm doing this combo and I notice there's like a big opening that I can take advantage of, like right here, opening. I can go right back into using my lateral round slash combo and maintaining really high damage that way. And then when I see that opening's ending, I can go right back to using my chops to try to reposition or play safe or have a lower commitment and so forth and so on. So you have many, 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 many options on how you want to combine all your chops and your laterals. And by min-maxing, you use your chops to maintain uptime and movement, and then recognizing when you can chill and just get these laterals in, that's a key to maximizing the damage on Sword and Shield. Like the difference between doing this optimally and doing this suboptimally is several seconds in a speed run at a minimum. This could be a huge, huge, huge DPS gain by just knowing uptime good, maintain uptime. I have an opening, I switch to lateral. But the key thing is you might notice I've gone all the way down to blue sharpness. Now, as good as combining these two combos is, they are still sharpness inefficient for the amount of damage that you're actually dealing. And this is a problem. This weapon will run out of sharpness, but we have solutions. And that solution is if you actually chain into some of our better combo enders, those deal more damage for the amount of sharpness they're actually spending. So we can be more sharpness efficient by widening our options even further. So before I get to that, I need to make a quick pit stop and talk about the Corrupted Mantle. If you ever watch freestyle speedruns where everybody's using the Corrupted Mantle, you're going to see them just keep doing this combo all the time, where they're using their chop, chop, lateral, lateral, chop, chop, lateral, lateral. The reason this is so good is that when you're inside Corrupted Mantle, chops can proc double hits, meaning that now your chop combo deals really, really high damage. And then you can keep looping it by putting in these lateral hits in. These lateral hits are still pretty good damage, and they're the fastest way to maintain this combo, essentially. So if you're playing inside a Corrupted Mantle, you can just do this combo, and every so often you can sneak in a combo ender depending on how you're going to do things. But that's pretty much it. It is really straightforward to play this weapon inside Corrupted Mantle. It is kind of stupid. So until this thing's nerfed, keep that in mind when you're inside of it. Just do chop, chop, lateral, lateral. That's that sidebar out of the way. Let's get on the our notes. So let's go revisit our combo things. Combine the chop mobility with stronger lateral hits. Over that, it's good. You get a good compromise mobility, reach damage uptime. Great. Corrupted Mantle go burr. We just showed that. And yes, the DPS is a little bit lower than just doing straight lateral loops all the time, and the sharpness efficiency is not great. So let's talk about fixing that sharpness efficiency by doing combo enders, which are going to be Spinning Reaper and Charge Chop. Spinning Reaper is pretty straightforward. Anytime you finish something like your chop combo, you can input triangle plus circle, Y plus B on an Xbox controller, and you're going to get the Spinning Reaper to come out. It's a pretty high damage move. You do it at the end of any other combo. So here's a lateral combo into it. And it's a good combo ender, but it's relatively static. So like when you do use it, there's a lot of recovery. You're stuck in this animation for a while. And you're going to have to use other options to get yourself out of it. That might not be ideal. So it's a bit of a commitment, but it also chains into another attack that's really strong, which is the Charge Chop. And I need to make a quick distinction about the Charge Chop, is there's actually two versions of it in the game. If you just cancel any regular move in a Charge Chop, which is, holding triangle plus circle, you'll get the move to come out. But you'll see that it has this wimpy little aura on it for its charge up, and the damage that comes out of it is absolutely pathetic. It is terrible. This sucks. But if you do a combo ender into it, so let's say you do a full Charge Chop combo, and then you go into it, you see I get this big flame aura on it. I'll show it again, but this time out of the lateral combo. Get this big stupid flame aura. That enhances the move really significantly, and that's called Enhanced Charge Chop. And it deals a lot of damage. It is very, very good, and we love this thing. And you can do it also after spinning Reaper to get the enhanced version as well. So when you combine all this together, you do your combo. Let's say we do our lateral combo because it's our damage combo. So finish the lateral combo, go into spinning Reaper, and then boom, get our Charge Chop off. And that combo right there is a high damage combo that is comparable to our lateral loops, which is great. We have something that is about the same damage as our lateral loops. And in cases where you only are able to get off that chain and not do like a full, 3 or 4 reps of a lateral loop, this ends up being even more damage. Really great option in that instance. And it's more sharpness efficient than the lateral option, which may seem a little strange when you see all the hits, but this last little burst of hits at the end, all these ticks that are dealing a bunch of damage per tick, not all of those are consuming full sharpness. So this is actually a great way to deal damage while making sure you don't run out of sharpness too quickly. So all in all, a really great combo. But it has a couple of downsides. First off, you have to get to the actual Charge Chop itself when it's enhanced, which means you have to finish a combo and then go through all those animations. It's a really high commitment and it can be kind of hard to fit in. But I want you to keep in mind that you don't have to even knock a monster down to fit this in because we're going to be using our other, combos. Let's say I'm fighting Arkveld, for example, and he whiffs, a big attack where I just get out the way by using my chop combo. So let's say I'm doing my combos and I'm like, oh, I need to get out the way. Chop out the way. I can go right to my lateral, finish it while he's still recovering from his move, and then get a Charge Chop off. So when you learn openings against monsters that aren't just knockdowns and how to get that in, that's a further huge damage add you can put into your combo game. And whenever you finish Charge Chop, you can actually press triangle or Y to get a Rising Slash and go right back into your normal combos. So you don't have to interrupt your normal combo flow that drastically to use it, but still, it's a high commitment. You need to learn how to use it. You need to learn your monster matchups, and you do need to try to maximize these windows as much as possible because, again, it is a pretty significant damage game, in particular for the sharpness that you save. It makes a huge difference. Anytime you fall into blue sharpness or have to stop to sharpen in something like a run, then that's a big damage loss. It's a big time loss, and it really sucks. This way, you can min-max that to an extent where you might not ever fall out of white sharpness, even just doing a TA run. It's very, very cozy to keep that in mind. So back to our notes. We've covered most everything, but oh yeah, the hitbox. I need to mention that. So whenever you're doing this Charge Chop, something that you should know is that whenever you're falling down with it, that goes up and then down. Once that first hit has made contact, the rest of the move pretty much sticks there for the most part. And this move can sometimes, unfortunately, hit awkward hit zones that are not really great for you. And other times, it can hit zones that you normally wouldn't be able to reach during moves, like against Lateral, for example, when he's doing his little tantrum where he's just throwing his arms in the sand. You can stand underneath him and do a charge chop, and all the hits hit him in the face. Great. When I fight New Udra, sometimes this little part that gets stuck on like his membrane or tentacles, which are not as good hit zones as his head, and it feels really bad. So again, that's just another monster matchup thing you need to keep in mind when using charge chop, but still try to fit that in as much as possible. Okay. So Perfect Rush. Perfect Rush is a favorite tool of a lot of Sword and Shield players where you do back hop, you press Y, triangle, and then you just time all your hits for more triangles. They finish the combo, you go up, press circle to do a falling bash. That's Perfect Rush. Now, I'm going to start with the bad news, but there is good news. The bad news is that despite having really strong raw motion values, Sword and Shield is still an elemental weapon, and the elemental damage dealt by Perfect Rush is not good. So in a lot of cases, you're losing damage by doing Perfect Rush by just a little bit, okay? Because you're losing that elemental damage. You're also losing status buildup from using a status weapon, and that's not great either. So it's a little bit lower damage, and it can be hard to place that falling bash. If you're not hitting that falling bash damage, then this is even worse. It can be hard to place that onto a good hit zone, and the commitment to actually doing a Perfect Rush is extremely high. So this could be a really hard move to fit into things, and the damage on it is just not as good as doing our other combos. That doesn't mean there aren't really compelling reasons to actually still use Perfect Rush, and we have them here on our positives. So the first thing is that the sharpness efficiency is very good. If you notice when I do this, a lot of these hits I'm doing are actually using the shield, and the shield hits are not really consuming sharpness. So we're getting pretty good damage that's almost as good as our other combos while still maintaining really high sharpness. So if you're just barely not having enough sharpness to finish out how much damage you need to, get a kill on a run, you can use a couple of perfect rushes in there during like a monster knockdown or something in order to maintain that sharpness. So that's thing one that's really good. Thing two you might have noticed is that we KO'd this thing. And every time that you are hitting with the shield, you're stacking a pretty decent amount of KO damage. So the Perfect Rush itself doesn't have that much good KO damage into it. You can see a few shield hits in here where it's actually getting it. But this Falling Bash got pretty good KO on it. And when you combine that with another high KO move that this weapon has, it's Focus Strike into Upswing. If you can Focus Strike ahead and then do this punch right here, that deals a lot of KO as well. So combining just one of those into a Falling Bash with another Falling Bash into a Perfect Rush will KO like a lot of the monsters in this game. The Perfect Rush gives you better access to KO routing, which could be a knockdown, which could be a damage gain. But you have to balance that versus just continuously dealing good damage with your other options. So you do need to keep it in mind. Perfect Rush is not a thing you just always throw out. But these positives were A, for sharpness efficiency reasons, and B, for KO routing. It does actually get used in higher level speedruns sometimes. It's a good tactic. So, yes, Perfect Rush is still not great. It's nowhere near what it was in Iceborne. But if you can actually complete the full thing and get the Falling Bash at the end, it's a pretty great option for the two reasons I've already laid out. So, keep in mind that Perfect Rush is something to be used. And the last thing to go over is the guard slash. I'm not going to get into the full defensive suite of tools for the sword and shield because that's just going to make this video way longer than it already is, and it's already too long. So real quick, guard slash, it's a good defensive tool that you can fit into your combo. It adds some free damage every so often, but it's also a niche combo extender I'd feel bad to not throw into the combo theory video, where if you do have a bit of a combo where you need to do a reset, similar to how like you can reset off a round slash, for example, you can instead fit a guard slash in there and then go back to doing your combos relatively quickly. And the guard slash is also a pretty good reset point that gives you the perfect guard opportunity off the guard slash as well, right? So if I actually do tell this thing to sit here and punch me a little bit, I'm gonna be sitting here doing my combo, whatever. And then you see I input a guard slash there, and it gets you back to perfect guard. If you time that even better, you can actually get the slash damage to go off along with the perfect guard. That's a pretty nice thing to have. And one last thing is that with the Spinning Reaper, I mentioned that it was pretty static earlier, but you can actually cancel it with guard slash and create a combo that looks something like this. This is not actually that bad of a combo sometimes, and it allows you to bypass the awkward recovery with a pretty safe option when you get to Spinning Reaper. Normally, Spinning Reaper makes you a bit of a sitting duck, and you can just use this to get out of it. And yeah, so that's how you fit in Guard Slash. I would be careful using Guard Slash too often as a combo tool because the damage for it is like really, 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 really bad. When you sit here and do this all day, your damage is awful. You're losing so much uptime because you're trying to be defensive where you could be like using a better defensive option like this that deals actual damage. Or instead, you could just be, using your chop movement to get out the way. You could instead, understand your window and be committing better options. This is not particularly great. It's awful. And if you do mistime this into like a bad guard, then it's gonna hurt you pretty bad. So in the terms of combo tools, this is not a very good tool. You don't really want to be using it too often, but you can use it to get it in there. But yeah, that's gonna be close to wrapping this up. Let's do a quick review of everything. Step 1, lateral combo. Deals all your damage. Use this for damage. Okay. Primary damage source. When you need to still deal damage, but you need to be safer, move around, have better uptime, chop comes into play. Ta-da. And you can always combine the two into a mix of chop plus lateral. Look for a better opening, get your laterals in there. And then you realize, oh god, I need to get out of here, use your chops to move around. And then when you get the big openings, use your combo enders because they are a little bit more damage efficient, particularly when you consider things like sharpness conservation and stuff like that. Yeah, that about wraps this up. Anybody who stuck with me this far, thank you so much. I hope you actually like learned quite a bit. In the next video, we will fully go over like things like your counter slashes and your sliding slashes and using back hops more efficiently. But these are your main combo tools that you do want to be using when you're playing the game. So yeah, really that's going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will catch you in the next video.